Good morning, AP Langers. Happy Friday, April 3rd. This is Mr. Jones checking in on morning update. Just want to kind of talk about a couple of things. I want to talk about assignments that are due today, assignments that are due, this past week. I want to talk about AP Lang updates as of last night. More to come today. And I want to talk about our PBA synthesis essay that we'll be working on next week. Brief video. Give me a second. All right. So, overview. So, this is our quote of the day. Though we tremble before uncertain futures, may we meet illness, death, and adversity with strength. May we dance in the face of our fears. This is from Gloria Anzaldúa. Some might know from Myth of the Wild Tongue from earlier this year. I think this is a very apt quote for the times that we're going through as of right now, just to continue to be resolute and to meet adversity with strength. I like that quote for this morning. Quick announcements. Is College Worth the Cost deconstruction activity and body paragraph assignment is due today at 4 p.m. If, again, for some reason, again, you're dealing with other work, got family issues, whatever, you can't get that in by 4 p.m., that's fine. Like I said, just let me know ahead of time and we'll work past that. Kayoko Mori school argument responses, which were due this past Wednesday. I'm should be wrapping up putting in the rest of those grades within the next hour and a half, because we need to input into a document who all turned in that Wednesday assignment in order to be accounted for attendance. So if you have not finished that, finish that within by 11:30, so I can input your name and let people know that you are present and engaged in online learning. AP exam updates, as I said, that's on the next slide. We'll talk about that. PBA synthesis essay, which should be the primary purpose of U.S. public education and what reforms should be prioritized, will be due next Friday, April the 10th. Like I said, instead of having two synthesis essays, I combined them into one. So starting on Monday, we'll talk about what that essay should look like as far as like the structure of it. And then we'll talk about different parts of it, such as, each part of the rubric: thesis, evidence and commentary, and sophistication. We'll talk about on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, respectively. And on Thursday and Friday of next week, we'll start doing writing conferences where I'll share out a big document and, everybody will have a chance to kind of collaborate and discuss different parts. So we'll have one, we're talking about thesis, evidence, commentary, and of course, sophistication. Clearing up grammar issues, punctuation issues, all those things will be Thursday and Friday. All right, so quick update. AP Lang exam would now be Wednesday, May 11th. Did I hit that right? No, May 20th, pardon me. So here, I said May 11th. So here, May 20th, 2020. It will only be one essay, FRQ 2, rhetorical analysis. Excuse me. So after we complete PBA next week, the rest of our time together, online or in person, if that happens, will be spent looking at different parts of rhetorical analysis, rhetorical situation, identifying and analyzing rhetorical choices, connecting rhetorical choices to knowledge about audience, so on and so forth. We'll be really focusing in like extra hard on rhetorical analysis. So we'll begin that starting with April 13th is when we'll start really diving into rhetorical analysis. Any other questions about logistics or exam administration, click on this Google Doc, and all those questions should be answered, hopefully. If not, reach out to me and I'll see if I can get you any other answers. So, PBA Synthesis Overview. It's about public education and reform. Review the sources from the unit. Some of these sources that we've gone through, there's a few that we have not, but I've included excerpts of those sources, so like source D through F. We haven't gone over in class, but those are very good sources that I think will help to provide a good understanding about public education and what its purposes should be, and also different types of reforms. But so your prompt: carefully review the sources, synthesize information from at least 3 of the sources and at least 2 outside sources, and incorporate it into a coherent, well-developed argument for your position on A, what should be the primary purpose of U.S. public education, and B, what specific reforms should we prioritize. Make sure your argument is central. Use the sources to illustrate and support your reasoning. So, looking at Part A, what should be the primary purpose of U.S. public education? That is where you'll actually use the unit sources. The sources you see in front of you will be used for the A part of your synthesis essay. Education of Marina, case against high school sports. High school sports aren't killing academics. 12th annual report, war on public schools, and talk to teachers. Those are strictly for Part A. What should be the primary purpose of U.S. public education? B, what specific reforms should we prioritize? That's where you'll use those 2 outside sources, at least 2 outside sources. But again, we'll talk about that on Monday as far as structure, and this will be all laid out so you can see and refer back to as you start writing. So that is the prompt. Those are the sources that we'll be using. Monday, we'll also talk about credible sources to use for those outside sources, and that'll be on Monday. So lastly, before we get out of here, I want to make sure everybody's doing okay. Continue, like, if anything bothering you, anything you need to talk about, any issue that I can help with, hit me up privately through text or whatever, and I'll try to assist as much as possible. Finally, on this beautiful Friday, this is what I'm listening to. I'm gonna try to do this every day. This is what I'm listening to today. Kiana Lede. I'm gonna say Lede. This Kiki album that just came out this morning. It is quite the fire emojis. So check that out. Do my daily music recommendation. For those that know I'm a music person, like so many of you are, but I highly recommend this album. I'm about 80% of through it, and she hasn't missed on a song yet. So get into that. Outside of that, have a great Friday. Again, make sure we turn in assignments on time. If anybody wants to hit me up about like helping to build a schedule, I think that would be very helpful. I know like it seems like you should have more time being at home, but we know that's not always the case because of family issues, other classes, or just distractions, whatever. I don't, there's a lot of things that keep us from like really being severely on top of things, myself included. Last week I struggled with just PS4 addiction and Netflix addiction. This week I've tried to like be more focused on kind of getting into a schedule. So if you need some help, about building a schedule, I just had to help my daughter build a schedule against her own wishes yesterday. It was like pulling teeth, but I think it's important to have like some type of structure, how to build out our time as far as completing assignments. Sometimes that, you may need to break some stuff down. Like, hey, I'm gonna take about 30 minutes, read this, and then I'm gonna move to the next thing. Then I'm take another 30 minutes to do this, move to the next thing, and then I'm just gonna stop. Eat breakfast, eat lunch, play video games, watch Netflix, and then I gotta come back later, instead of trying to put everything at one time. I think that can also build more stress and more anxiety about completing things on time. But again, lastly, anything you need help with, reach out to me and we can kind of work that out. And I can offer as much guidance as I can. But outside of that, I want y'all to have a great weekend. Stay safe, exercise, eat well, whatever. Signing out.